Hi, Peter Charles here of Hooked for Life Fly Fishing, and today we're going to tie a fly that has some special significance for me. When we first arrived in southern Ontario, I got an interest in fishing for Chinook salmon out of Lake Ontario as well as Steelhead. And first I started with spinning gear, and then I moved on to fly gear. I wanted to tie my own flies. I started tying flies, and I decided I needed a fly to catch some Chinook. So I went through a pattern book that I had, and it seemed like every pattern in the book, I was missing one material. We all know that feeling. You find something that looks cool, you pick it up, and go, oh, I'm going to tie that, and then you're missing one thing. Happens to us all. There was one pattern in the book I had all the materials for, and it was a Van Luven. It's a Rogue River pattern. It's used to catch steelhead many years ago, but it's kind of not a popular pattern. Not too many people use it. Anyway, tied up a bunch. And my son and I went after some Chinook in Bronte Creek and in Credit River. And man, we just banged fish with it. It was amazing. It was just like one after another after another. I eventually ended up using Mickey fins for Chinook, and they liked it just as much. So it didn't matter whether we went after a Van Luven or a Mickey fin, we caught fish. So it's a very, very special pattern for me. And I haven't used it in years. In fact, the pattern that's on the vise right now, it's about 22 years old, and that's what it looked like after its last fish. It got trashed, and I kept it. I thought it was kind of cool. So, we're going to tie the Van Luven. Let's have a look at the materials. The hook is a size 4 salmon single. This one's a mustad. You could use any really salmon size 4, size 6, size 2. Anything in that range will do. Our thread is uni black in a 6/0. Our rib is uni French silver in medium. The tail is red saddle hackle. The body is a red yarn, using brown hen for the collar or the throat, whichever way you like to tie it. And the wing is a white calf tail. Okay, let's get started and get our thread going here. Bring the thread back to the point of the hook. Now what I'm going to do is going to strip off a bit of the barbs from the saddle hackle. About 1/4 inch worth is good enough. Use a pinch loop. Tie them on, wrap it back a little bit. Now we're going to put on the rib. Now I'm using a return eye hook. As you can see, there's a return here. So what I do to help fill that space up is I'm going to tie this along the side. Next we're going to tie in our yarn. We'll do the same thing. Now just wrap that forward and then make sure you keep the yarn and the tinsel on the side. Adjust it if you have to. And you can, if you want, you can wrap this back, tied it up. That works. Then bring it forward. One of the beauties of using yarn is you don't have to be fussy about how you handle the parts underneath. If I was doing floss, I'd be very careful. Yarn, not so much. Okay, now we're going to wind on the body, and I'm going to make a cigar shape, and I'm going to make 3 passes with the yarn. And what I do is I manage the angle in order to thicken or thin the body. So we're going to start off just with a tight wrap, put a lot of pressure on it. Now I'm going to back off the pressure, and we're going to wind it straight on. Bring it up just past the return. Now you see the angle I'm working at. Now I reduce that angle, and it creates a taper. And I'm just going to angle that, make sure you don't catch the hook point. Angle it back. Now put it straight on, thicken it up. Now angle it back. Now you have a nice looking cigar shaped body, and it makes a good ramp for the wing. Just makes things neat. So we're going to tie off the yarn. Now for durability's sake, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to leave a little tag there, like that. And then I'm going to wrap that underneath the hook. There we go. Now we're going to wrap the tinsel. Now we're going to take our brown hen, we're going to peel off one feather. Now what I've done is I picked out a relatively long feather, and I normally strip one side of these feathers. That gives you a relatively sparse hackle. You could tie this on with the entire feather and you get a bulkier hackle. Your choice. I prefer to have a little bit of a sparser hackle. Now when you want to strip something, to get this to face the right way, reverse this the way you're going to tie it on. Have the curve facing away from you, and then start picking off the barbs on the right side. This is the way you're going to wind it on. I'll leave a little bit on the tip, stroke the feathers away from the tip. Now you have a tying in point. And what I tend to do is I like to cut that bit off and just leave a little triangle. So now I've got this little triangle right here. You can see the little triangle, and that gives me a tying in point that will actually hold. It'll be quite secure. So I'll wind that in. Now I'm going to use my hackle pliers for this. I prefer to use hackle pliers just for the control. I know a lot of people will do it just with their fingers. Now you wind this on, stroke the fibers back and wind the wraps on one in front of the other. Just advance it slowly. There we go. And there's a little bit sticking up. I'll just trim that off. There we go. Now for the calf tail wing, I'm just going to grab a small clump here. Now, this will be a little ragged, so what I do is I grab it by the tips and I pull out any really long stray bits. So I've got something that's reasonably level, but I haven't stacked it, so it doesn't have that cut-off look to it. I like a little bit of a ragged look, it flows better. So I'll just position the wing about halfway along the tail, and we'll use a pinch loop to put that in place. Now the purpose for the pinch loop is it prevents it from spinning. If you just wrapped, it would wrap around the hook. Now that wing is not bulky. I don't want too bulky a wing. I want something that will flow. And now we'll wrap this head up and we'll whip finish. So there's our Van Luven. All we have to do is apply the head cement. We're ready to go fishing. It's a simple pattern. You can tie dozens of them very quickly. And it is effective. That red works. It works on Chinook salmon in the Great Lakes. It also works on Steelhead. It'll work on coho. It'll work on a lot of migratory species. It's a very simple pattern to tie. And as I say, it's worked for me. It's caught a ton of fish. So anyway, tie some up, have some fun, enjoy.